Alrighty, here we go. This is Seven Sisters. This is the Seven Sisters part of our Carbrook ride. Just about to overtake a couple of riders here. This is a bit of a TT section, a bit of a time trial section, and just getting ready for a ride tomorrow. So just had a nice big dinner, load of rice, a bit of a stir fry, some veggies into me, and a heap of rice. Get those carbs in. We're doing the same ride tomorrow. This is about a week ago we did this particular one on the video. Just about to head out and do it again in the morning. This is our time trial section, so Tim and I are leading out. Goes for around about, well, it's probably around about, I think this section of it, I've missed the first 5 or 6 Ks of it, so this section of it is around about 12-13 Ks long. So Tim and I are leading out and holding the pace. So if you have a look at the chart at the very top, the little graph on the top, you see it's up and down all the way, up and down the whole way, so you're working all the time. Keeps you going. This is great fun. This is what I train for when I'm on my indoor trainer. If anyone of you has ever seen any of my indoor trainer videos, I do efforts. Now my efforts are, so I've just come around the front now, taking over Tim, so the rest of the boys are behind us. I'll just explain to you, this guy here that we're just about to overtake, he hangs on the back of us as well. He was just out for a nice gentle ride. He's actually a bit of a racer. He was out for a gentle ride, and then when he saw us, he decided to jump on the back of this little train and take a bit of a fast ride back into Cleveland. So when you're on the indoor trainer, I train for this type of scenario, and the sessions, if you've seen some of my indoor trainer sessions, they are where I do 30 and 60 second bursts, and even up to 90-second bursts on some of them, where I'm pushing up around that 350, 400 watt mark for those 60 seconds and things, you know, and then you're recovering back down to around about that 220 mark, and that gets you race fit for this sort of stuff. It's ideal on the indoor trainer. It gets you ready for this sort of stuff when you're out on the road. Absolutely and utterly gets you in the zone for this, because when you're doing your effort is like now on the 300 odd watts, between 350 watts, going on a bit of an incline, and then when you're dropping back to around about that 220 mark, it's when you sat behind the rider in front on the flats or on a bit of a downhill, so you're recovering back at that 200 watt mark, and you basically recover at the wattage that suits you, and you do your efforts at the wattage that suits you. So you know, if you're more comfortable to start with at around 250 watts, they're the watts you do your efforts on, and then recover lower than that. I just find that the 350 watt mark is my sort of range, and that's good for me doing my efforts, and the recoveries I'm happy at around about that 220 mark. So it's awesome to do the indoor trainer sessions to get you ready for this sort of stuff, because this road, as you can see, it's up and down, and then Tim and I are just swapping over, taking the lead all the time, keeping the pace steady. And what those indoor trainer sessions will do, it will give you the ability to keep the pace going on the inclines, on the uphills. Now, these aren't massive hills. I mean, you're probably averaging, I don't know, 5-6% on some of them. Some of them get a little bit steeper, but they're not for long. But you still have to push them up. You still got to pedal the bike up the hills at the end of the day. You know, you don't miraculously appear at the top of them, do you? So you're still doing an effort when you're on that particular incline part of the road. So the indoor trainer gets you ready for this sort of stuff. So it might be that this particular section of the road that we're on, the efforts are around about that 30 to 60 second mark. As you can see now, I'm up close to 400 watts, just coming down now. It's coming back onto a bit of a flat, and that's what I'm saying. It gets your watts up there. So practicing this on the indoor trainer will make it so that you can do this sort of stuff easily. And this is more in a race type situation. So, you know, this is the sort of speed, the sort of efforts you're going to have to be doing if you're wanting to get into races, if you want to go and do a 100k or 160k race. You know, this is the sort of stuff you're going to be doing with all the leaders if you want to be up the front of the group and be one of the ones that are, you know, potentially, you know, look at winning the race. This is what you've got to be able to do. You've got to be able to hold your pace line, come back and recover, hold your pace line, come back and recover. And practicing it out on the road is great because it's good experience, but practicing it on the indoor trainer will get you bloody strong. I'm telling you, indoor trainer will get you real strong. So Tim's in front now, and I'll just sit behind him. So obviously going up the hills, you're still pushing out about the same watts as the guy in front. You know, there's no gimmies on the hills, but when you get to the flatter sections, that's when you've got to tuck in behind and start to recover. Try and get your recovery working, you know, get the zone that you're happy with, and tuck in as close as you can, obviously without touching the back wheel. Can be a bit hard at times, and also read where the wind's coming from. So if it's obviously full on head in, just sit on the very back. If it's coming from the right, you sit to the left, and if it's coming from the left, you sit to the right of the wheel, and that way you'll get the best protection from the headwinds. So now I'm back in the lead, and obviously the guys are still behind me, and they'll be getting my draft. And don't forget, having riders behind you as well is beneficial to the guy up the front, because it stops that swirl of the airflow wrapping around and actually causing drag on you. So having riders behind you is a good thing. Sometimes, you know, riders get a bit annoyed if you sit on their back wheel when you're riding along. It's beneficial to them. You're better off having them there than not. If they don't want to come up the front, well, it doesn't matter, does it? You're the one getting stronger by being on the front, and that's one of the reasons I love being on the front, is because you're the one getting all the work out. You're the one getting stronger. So don't worry about it if someone's sat on your tail. Just go along at your pace. That's the beauty about having a power meter. You can just say to yourself, okay, there's someone there, I'm just going to sit along at my pace and I'll hold the watts, and then if it's not fast enough for them, well, then they can come around and then you can comfortably sit on their back wheel. But it's ultimately up to the guy behind to come round if they feel they want to give it a go. You know, if you want to slow down, you can slow the pace right down. If you've had enough, or you're thinking you're doing too much work, you just slow the pace right down, and then they've got no choice either to sit behind you or to overtake you and take the lead up. And that is how you have to do it when you're in a race situation. You've got to play the game. Have to play the game. But in order to be able to play the game, you've got to be able to do this sort of stuff. And when you're popping along at these sorts of speeds on these hills, because I say it is just up and down literally all the way for this. So we're working, but when you're doing this, you know, you've got to do the practice, and that's the beauty of having that indoor trainer. The indoor trainer keeps you honest. There's absolutely no respite whatsoever on the indoor trainer. You're just working on it all the way, and that's one of the reasons we love this ride as well, because it's hilly. It's just hills galore. We're just going up one hill, down the other, and even some of the hills, obviously they're not long, they're not majorly long, but as I said before, you've still got to push it up them. You know, they're not just freebies. You don't just freewheel up them. So keeps you working all the way. Fantastic bit of road this. Nice big shoulder for us to play on. This is only early in the morning, so it's around about, I think it's about 6:45 in the morning here. So nice and quiet, you know, nice and quiet. So there you go, I'll come around again. keep the power on. And this is the beauty of it. You need to be able to keep that power on right up to the top of them hills, and that way you keep your speed up, you keep that momentum going, and then you can do your recovery on the flatter parts and the downhill parts, and when you're sat behind the guy in front. So all the other guys are just sitting on the back of us pair are doing all the work here. But as I say, this is good fun, this is great practice. Do the work, get up there and do some of the work, and it'll get you strong. I tell you now, this is how you get strong. We're in for a ride in May next year, 165 k's I think it is, 165 k's, and it's a similar sort of ride to this one. It's hilly, it's just up and down, and there's a bit of a climb at the start, about 30 k's in, so that climb at the start is what will break the pack up. That breaks us. There's about, I think in the group I went out with last time, I think there's about 200 riders or something that go out in the first wave, but that first hill splits them up. That splits all the pack up, and then you get into smaller groups of say 10, 15, 20, whatever, and then you just sit on the group that you're comfortable with, and if you can hop onto another one, a faster group, well, that's all very well and good. But this sort of training is ideal for that particular race we're going in for next year. And if you want to go in for them, if you want to go in for that sort of stuff, you've got to do this sort of work on the bike. You know, you just have to do it. You've got to let them legs melt. You've got to crucify it. See, look, I'm going, this is uphill now, still behind him, still up at that high 200, 300 watt mark. It's just keeping it going, But you do need to be sat on your power meter as well. When you're up the front, which is what I'm doing, as these are only short bursts, it's not so bad. But I still am monitoring my power. I'm watching what I'm doing when I'm up the front. I mean, when you're on the back, you've just got to go along and hope you can hold on to the back. But when you're up the front, you've got to monitor your power so that you don't burn out. Especially if you're in a race situation, because if you're in a group of say 20, you've got 20 good strong riders. Everyone's going to be taking the turn. The one good thing about being in a bigger pack, you get longer to recover, because obviously everybody's going to be taking their turn up the front, so you're going to get heaps and heaps of time. At the minute, Tim and I are probably doing a K or so each, and then we're swapping over. But in a bigger group, you get longer recoveries, so it might be 5 minutes before you get back on the front again, and that's plenty of time. Once you start to drop down the pack, that's plenty of time to bring your heart rate down and to recover enough for when it's your turn back on the front. So it's not always quite as hectic as this, obviously, because there's only the two of us doing this particular one, but yeah, it's good fun. Enjoy this. Looking forward to doing it again tomorrow, so we'll be nipping out again tomorrow and giving it another go. But it is good practice if you want to get into that, if you want to get into doing some of the bigger rides, and it's more of a race situation. It gets you used to doing this sort of stuff. And if you can't do this, well, you're just not going to be able to hang on. That's all there is to it. But you need to be able to push those bigger watts. You need to be able to push those bigger watts. The other good thing about doing this sort of work and practicing this on the indoor trainer, when you're in a race sort of situation, sections like this where it's hilly, where it's up and down, this is where you can split the pack up. You can split the pack up easily in a situation like this. When you get one of the longer climbs at say 800 meters or something, not in elevation, in length, so about 800 meters in length, and you've had a bit of a rest, you can bash it right up to 500-600 watts, and you can get up there, split the pack up easily in that sort of situation on a sort of a burst like that, on a short hill burst. The hills are where you can do some damage. You can make time up on the hills if you practice on. That's why I say whenever I do training, whatever, if I'm out on the bike, you've got to be training on the hills. They hurt, of course they hurt, but it's the best place to get strong, is on the hills. You know, you've got to get out there. If you want to get stronger on the bike and you want to get faster and you want to be able to do things like split the pack up, or you want to win races, for instance, you have to be strong on the hills. You've got to be strong on the hills. And that is all there is to it. So Tim Martin's now come and joined in with us, and he's going to take the last little bit. So that's about it. We're just about coming up to the end of this little section. Coming up to the traffic lights now, I think. So that is about it. But anyway, this is the sort of stuff you got to do if you want to get stronger. You got to make it hurt. You got to get the lads out there. You all got to get together and do some of this sort of stuff. It's not only great training and it will make you stronger, but it's damn good fun as well, popping out these sorts of speeds. And you do get used to it, because I couldn't have done this when I first started cycling, but now I can do this relatively easily. So get out there and enjoy your rides.